Hey, y'all, and welcome to another episode of It's Brittany B podcast, a show where you and I go on a journey and break down subjects that most of us want to talk about, listen to, or even want to be a part of. I'm your host, Brittany, and if y'all are ready, let's sit back, relax, and let's chat. On today's episode, we're going to talk about Cinderella and how she really created her own happily ever after. Now, we all know Cinderella, right? And I'm talking about the Disney adaptation. But if you've been living under a rock, I'll just give you a brief summary. Cinderella is about this girl who lives with her stepmom and two stepsisters, and she pretty much is a slave in her home. And by her home, I mean her daddy's home, but we'll get in depth later. She pretty much is a slave and has to do everything her stepmom and her stepsisters want. But she's a very nice girl. The animals are her friend. They help her out and all that type of stuff. But the scene that this brings us in the story is a ball. A ball is coming. And it's for this prince. And this prince wants some type of girl, but he wants to meet every eligible maiden. Cinderella gets excited. She's an eligible maiden. She finally gets to leave the house. She ends up getting a fairy godmother. She finds the prince. There's a glass slipper. There's a lot that happens. But overall, the point that I'm getting at is the moral to the story. I think we've missed it, you guys. I really think we have missed it. And I say that because Cinderella got pulled into this princess trope of being like, oh my goodness, this man came and saved her life, and you don't need a man to help you feel like he can make you a happily ever after. You should be able to do it yourself. Well, I kind of think Cinderella did that. I think we really are missing that. You know what, maybe instead of a man making her life better, maybe it was her this whole entire time. Bottom line is I'm just basically saying Cinderella was a nice person. And maybe, given her circumstances, being a nice person through the whole time made her get the prince and the happily ever after. I mean, think about it. When the story starts, there's this old lady who's narrating the beginning, talking about Cinderella's life. She already lost her mom because, God forbid, Disney lets any character have their mother in their life. Then after that, she's growing up with her dad. Her dad's there. Great dude. He wants to find a lady, takes care of Cinderella, treats her great. She's living a great life. And then dad's thinking, I want a life companion, and I want my daughter to have a mom. So he meets this lady who has two daughters. How perfect is that? They live great and fine. But of course, all good things have to come to an end because dad dies. Dad dies. Cinderella is now basically an orphan, but she's living with stepmom and two sisters. Now, I don't know if they mentioned whether or not the stepmom or the stepsisters were nice while the dad was alive. But if they were, they totally flipped the script because Cinderella ended up being a servant in her own home, you guys. In her own dad's home, she is a servant. She's not living the little cute life anymore. She's living in some little dusty room with all these animals that are not her friends because she can't leave society and explore it. But you know what, you guys? Through all of that, she is a good person. She's nice. You see it in the movie. She wakes up, she's singing. The animals are doing her hair and helping her shower and bathe and get things done. She's a good person. I don't think a bad person would have animals helping her out like that. But that's not the point I'm getting at. So far, we see she's a great kid. Now, we get brought into her interacting with her stepsisters and her stepmom. We know the vibe's off. They have this dark aura. It's scary. The mom's cat's named Lucifer. We get it. They're not good people. But Cinderella still does what they want her to do. They're rude to her. They belittle her. She still gets it done. She has her little cute jokes there, but she never says it to their face. She's a good person still. Then the ball comes. Now Cinderella gets to actually leave the house because it said that all eligible maidens are to attend. So she's thinking, bet, I get a day off for once. She's not worried about trying to find a prince. She's just excited that she gets to leave the house and wear something nice other than the rags she has. Meanwhile, Tweedledee and Tweedledum are all excited because they think they have a chance to get this dude, and so does their evil mother. So Cinderella, again, super excited. But stepmom was like, you can go, but you got to get your stuff done. Oh, and did you bet your sweet butt she definitely made sure she got that stuff done. And she even had her dress made herself with help with her little animals. We saw the cute little music bit. She comes downstairs because it's time to go to the ball. Then all of a sudden, stepsisters and stepmom rip her to shreds. They abuse her. Just like they said in the beginning of the show, they abused her. Cinderella was abused and forced to be a slave in her own home. She was abused right on that scene. And for me, I guess I never really realized it was abused. I just figured like these girls are haters and they're just ripping her dress off. But I guess, yeah, psychologically, they messed her mind up. And this was her breakdown moment. This was her rock bottom. She's living life terribly. She has nobody. She's been being positive this whole time. She feels like it hasn't made a difference. So all of a sudden, as she's crying and saying it, there's no use, sparkly dust come from the sky. And this fairy godmother lady pops up. And she's like, sweet child, I got you. You're fine. Now, in a Disney movie, of course, it's going to be princess related. So it's going to be fairy and magical. If I'm aiming more towards a moral than I'm trying to prove to you guys in this situation, the fairy godmother is more, I guess, a metaphor. Maybe it's Cinderella's hope that she's always had. Just kind of like how Pandora's box is. You open the box and all this evil and terribleness comes out. But then at the end, you see hope. That's how I'm viewing this fairy godmother. She's that hope. And she gets Cinderella that courage to go. I'm going to get you dressed up. I'm going to turn your mice into horse and your horse into a carriageman and the pumpkin into a carriage. And I'm going to get you all nice. But because I'm giving all this to you, because I do think you deserve it, because you work hard and you are a kind girl, you got to be home by midnight, girl. And she's like, okay, I'll do it. I get to go out, fine. She gets that courage, bippity boppity boo. And she went. She goes to the castle. And she gets all prettied out right into that castle, the castle that's at Disney World or Disneyland, depending which one you went to. And she finally sees this dude and he dances with her all night. She's having such a great time. And then midnight hits. Homegirl's got to go home. A, because she has till midnight unless everything flips back. B, because she also has to beat her stepsisters and her mom home. So she does. The prince, which she didn't know that's who it was at the time. Spoiler alert. The prince didn't want her to leave, but she didn't know that that was the prince. So she's like, oh, I'm sorry. No, I got to go. I don't know. I got to meet the prince. And the dude's like, wait, what? It's like, but I'm the prince. She didn't hear that. Ran, lost her slipper, went home. Next day, she's in La La Land. Now, the stepmom already suspected, because she did kind of see her, what she thought at this ball. So the next day, Cinderella's all in La La Land, happy, reminiscing of the night. Stepmom finds out, tricks Cinderella into some little bit, and locks her in her room. Because that same day or that morning, they heard that the prince was looking for some girl who lost her glass slipper. And again, most of us know Cinderella lost her glass slipper. Yeah, okay. Did you guys also know that Cinderella also had the other glass slipper in her pocket as a memory? Now I'm getting sidetracked. Basically, Cinderella got totally abused. She was a good person the whole time. The godmother came, which is more of the hope or the positivity that I think Cinderella had projected the whole time. And that led her to go to the ball. She comes home, she still gets the abuse. Stepmom locks Cinderella up in the tower or in her room, while the prince is searching around everybody's house trying to have every single maiden try on these shoes. Cinderella, still nice, still positive, had the hope, had the help to get free. Meets the prince, because they're at the stepmom's house, finally trying on the stepsister's feet, which we all know didn't fit. And once Cinderella came downstairs, how convenient, the stepmom breaks the shoe. But Cinderella, bam, pops out with another one. The whole point of the story that I got from this, because we already know, happily ever after, she tries on the shoe, she goes with the prince. They live happily ever after. The point of the matter that I'm trying to show from this story is Cinderella wasn't a damsel in distress. And no man saved her. She didn't have to change who she was as a person. She was just nice and kind. She did what she was supposed to do, but she never gave up. She never gave up that kindness. Granted, she was in the same position she was in for a good portion of time in her life. But she never changed who she was. Because when people go through things, sometimes it makes you bitter, makes you into a mean person. That didn't happen with her. So since that didn't happen, good things ended up coming. She was good. She was able to go to the ball, even after her dress was completely destroyed, even after living in such a terrible, terrible household. She comes home. She thinks she's right there about to have the shoe on for the prince, and it breaks. But she had the other one. Good things happen. So the moral to Cinderella, you guys, is just be a good person no matter the circumstances. Life is hard. Life can get hard. But good things can only happen if you remain a good person. Not just to others, but also to yourself. Being a nicer person. Do good things. Good things happen. I think it's that simple. But obviously in today's world where it's so complex, it ends up kind of hiding beneath the bushes to where we can't see it so much. But that's just my thought on Cinderella. All right, you guys. Thanks for sitting and listening. It's been a pleasure talking with you on It's Brittany B, a show where you and I go on a journey and break down topics that most of us want to talk about, listen to, or even want to be a part of. I'm your host, Brittany, and I want to thank Dedallion for producing today's episode. And a thought for today, life gives us lessons every day, not for learning, but also improving our understanding. Don't forget to stay tuned for new episodes, and to stay up to date with the latest episodes, go to lccconnect.org. Get it, got it, done. Talk to you later. Bye-bye.